Good evening and welcome to this special edition of WOSFL Weekly. We are going to be doing a preview for the Scottish Junior Cup final, which takes place on Sunday between Johnstone Burgh and Tranent. And I'm delighted to be joined by Johnstone Burgh manager Murdie McKinnon and striker Alan MacKenzie. How are you guys?
Very well, thanks, Johnny. Cheers. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having us on.
No, good. Glad, delighted for you to be here. I'm sure you're looking forward to Sunday. Can't wait for the day to come along. So we'll get cracked into the game straight away. Murdie, tell us a wee bit about you and your history, and I'll come to you, Alan, as well after this, and your history of the Scottish Junior Cup, because I want to start here because it's a competition that it was always the peak, it was always the pinnacle for as long as I can remember being involved in junior football. And there was a wee feeling that it kind of lost its magic a wee bit. But I think that that's coming back because we're seeing more and more teams coming back into it. Teams like Tranent, for instance, entering the competition. Which give us your kind of history of being involved in the Junior Cup and how do you feel it's progressing just now?
I totally agree with you. I think it is getting its magic back. You know, they're getting the teams that are guest teams coming back in, like Saboness, like Tranent, historic big clubs in the Junior Cup. You know, so I think, you know, listen, it's a trophy everybody wants to win. You want to get to the final. You know, it's a showpiece final. It's brilliant. My own history has been a bit painful, if I'm being honest with you. That was my third semi-final. So that's me getting to the final of numerous quarter-finals but losing out to very good teams and you know, we got to the semi-final with Pollock as well, and then the COVID season kind of cut that. So that was disappointing. But listen, over the moon. I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to the day, and really looking forward to the players going out and acquitting themselves well and try to bring the cup back to Johnson. You know.
Aye, absolutely. What about you, Alan? How do you view it? Because you've obviously got I suppose they would call you a veteran now, 34. But you've obviously had a good bit of success in the cup, getting to a couple of finals, winning one, obviously, with Shorts, if I'm right, and then getting to the final with Pollock and losing in penalties to Beath. But how do you view it now as you've been through your career at this level?
I think it's still as big as ever. I think 13 years ago yesterday, I won it with Shorts. So I don't know if there's ever been somebody that distance between the eyes. So veteran's probably the right word to say there. But when I first won it with Shorts, I didn't know what it was all about. I didn't expect. I was a young boy at the time, so to see the town come into its numbers and then you've got pals for life after that. Do you know what I mean? You've got your teammates. We're still in group chats. We're still going on holidays. So it's amazing. And obviously, I get beat with Pollock in the final, which again was very disappointing. Unfortunately, missed a penalty as well. So
I wasn't going to mention that. So
what somebody would, but and then obviously Sunday's massive. You see how much it means to Johnstone Burgh. It's similar. It's definitely got spark back over the last few years.
Mm-hmm. Aye, absolutely. And Murdie, obviously close association with Tony at Shorts. How often do they remind you of him winning the cup with Shorts?
On a daily basis. On a daily basis. That's a fair play. You got to give respect for anybody that wins this trophy, you know, because it's a difficult thing to do. It's not easy. You know, it's really not easy. And you know, that Shorts team Alan played in, you know, there were a lot of good players in that team, and you know, to go and win the cup at that point was, you know, a brilliant achievement. But listen, you know, we need to go and try and win it ourselves on Sunday. You know, and Alan mentioned you know, what it means to the people, what it means to the town, and you know, it's a bit frantic at the moment in Johnson. You know what I mean? Everybody's looking forward to it. They're all out, so I am you know, buzzing for them, and I hope we can go, as I say, and get a really good account of ourselves, and hopefully do enough to bring the trophy home. But we know it's going to be a tough test. You know, Tranent are a right good team. You know, so we're right good players. So, but listen, I've got confidence in our boys. Our boys are different class, so I'm sure they can go and do it.
Good. How's the preparation been the last couple of weeks? Obviously, you had a crazy run of fixtures in the league, and then you'd sandwiched between the two semi-finals, which you managed to get through. But how's the last 2 weeks been in terms of getting the boys fit and fresh and building up to it?
Listen, the boys have been good. We've kind of managed them well. I was unfortunate enough to have a good squad, and listen, Alan will probably tell you more how he felt during it, you know, in terms of playing and, you know, games in and out of them, and and stuff like that. And that was important just to keep people fresh and injury free and stuff like that, and give everybody the best opportunity we can to get to the firstly the semi-final and then the final thereafter. With a full complement of players and a strong team to put on the pitch. But from a management perspective, it was very difficult. I don't think it's ever been done before. I think that was the first that's ever been done, and it's like, almost a month between the two semi-final ties was like incredible. Weight fixtures in between them. Like I say, those fixtures are no, you know what this league's like. There's no fixtures that are easy. There's no friendly games within it. Again, Alan will testify to that when he's involved in the games. It's highly competitive, and regardless of whether people think the games are dead rubbers or no, people are on about each other and they want to win games, and that's what it is. So it's been difficult, but listen, we've got there. So I'm pleased we've got there, and we've got to the point where we have got a strong team. We have got majority of people injury free, and we're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Alan, managing that period? Because I spoke to a few folk leading up to, I think it was something like 8 games in 20 something days or something like that. And again, as I said earlier, with those massive games against Largs in between, as a player, how did you manage it?
Murdie touched on it. I think we've got such a good squad, so the rotation was there that allowed boys to come in and out of the team. Also gave opportunities for 20s to come through and show what they could do. So although it's difficult, I suppose I've never encountered that there was such a long time between both semis, but after the defeat, the first one, it actually gave us a month to kind of recoup, actually think about the game plan, and then gave us a month to kind of crack on and get the kind of job done. So I think it worked in their benefit, if I'm honest. Sometimes if they win that game, they're in the high, the next weekend it's there, but fortunate for us, we've come through the 8 games kind of with no injuries, gave a good run of games. Boys get minutes in their legs as well, so we went into that game kind of on a high as well, and we managed to get through it, obviously. So it's been good.
Do you think in a weird kind of way, Murdie, the break between the 2 games benefited you? Because, as Alan said, Largs would have been on a high after winning the first leg, and that they could maybe have capitalised that and used that momentum. But there was that kind of down period where it was almost like it's kind of weird, sound like a weird phrase, but almost like a brand new game, rather than a second leg. So do you think you guys use that to your advantage?
Aye, for sure. Alan's touched on it there. I think when you're playing one weekend after the other, there's a bit of momentum there you can carry, and I think that was probably lost. I think the result in the first game, it pretty much made it a one-off game anyway. It did make it a one-off game. They had a slight advantage going into it, but it made it a one-off game. And but for sure, probably the momentum being kind of lost in that first victory, everybody's buoyant and stuff like that was kind of lost for them. The period in between for both of us, where both teams picked up good results. There were some results that weren't so good, and and as Alan said, a lot of chop and change. We were able to see each other play, things like that, and we've seen the changes in the teams and stuff like that in the lead up to it. So, but probably importantly, just the ability to be able to regroup, get our heads settled, know where we are, what we had to achieve, what we had to do, and I have to say that the players went out onto the pitch in the semi-final and they were magnificent. They were outstanding. You really seen that they wanted to get to that final. So it was an unbelievable performance for them. It was scored 2 really good goals, but performances all over the pitch. Alan including that, he was absolutely brilliant, and as were a few of the players. So no, I'm sure it worked in our advantage to a certain extent as well, although it was difficult. It was a difficult period, Johnny.
Yeah, I spoke to a few people that were at the second leg, and then I speak to Greg quite regularly, Greg Mitchell, one of your coaching staff, and Alan, he was saying that there probably wasn't much in the game in the second leg, but you guys just showed that wee bit extra quality and had that wee bit extra quality when it was needed at the right times. How much of an advantage is that? Because we all know that your squad is littered with quality players, but how much of an advantage is that to you, knowing that one of your teammates can pop up with a bit of magic like Kieran Diver did in the semi-final?
No, definitely. I think Diver scores a goal at absolute nothing, absolute bullies the defenders, runs through and scores, and that sets us in a high. That sets in a level playing. Then we know we just need a goal. We've got half time, we come in 1-0 up, and there was only going to be 1-1, if I'm honest. I think I forget there was a game in between where we played Largs as well, and absolutely gave them a down down at Keene Park. So psychologically we're in the high then. So again, we went into that and I think we rumbled them. They never get going at all. The game plan worked perfectly, I think, and at the end of the day it was only one winner. So
aye, no, definitely. In terms of the break, how much of an impact, Murdie, do you think that is going to have? Because we've seen it in the league. We've certainly seen it with Renfrew, had 3 weeks off and then lost at home to Petershill on the last day of the season, still get promoted. But you guys have had 2 weeks off. Tranent have had 4. Do you think that could have a possible impact going into Sunday's game?
Oh, it's no ideal. I think their league season actually finished before that, didn't it? You know, when I think they played the Drum.
Aye.
It was the last game, but the league season had finished prior to that. So they've not played a lot of games. So you know, it can have an impact for ourselves. I don't think it'll have a great impact because obviously we've had that period we've just discussed, and then you know we've won that tie. You know, we've probably had a couple of weeks there where we've just kept our normal routine in terms of training and just making sure that everybody's kind of settled and ready to go into the final. So we've maybe missed a weekend, you know, a game a weekend for us. So, but for me, it's good. It's good for us. I'm happy with that to some extent. That break between the two semi-finals has extended it to the point where we can keep going in our training and keep going in our, you know, and getting ready for the final. And we don't have that long delay, you know, or waiting off for a final for 4 weeks and, you know, when is it going to come round, you know, that kind of thing, and how we keep the boys motivated and training and, you know, keep the legs ticking over and keep them fit. And again, at this time of the year, Johnny, there's all these like, holidays and different things like that, you know, it kind of, people have got families and that, they do things like that, so it can be difficult to manage. But from our perspective, I think we're in a good place. I think we'll be fine, we're good to go.
And Alan, do you think it'll be in the back of your mind and the players' mind? I'm sure Murdie will drive this home with them, with Tranent having such a long break. Starting quickly and starting early will give you an opportunity maybe just to catch them on the hop a wee bit if they are a wee bit sluggish after 4 weeks off.
Definitely. We're encouraged to do that every game anyway, so I think even more so with this. In terms of the break, I think it was probably welcome the majority of our team. Having Saturday off, having the weekend off of a game allowed us to train and just get together and just keep the momentum going. But I think Saturday, as usual, get an early goal, settle in and just go and take it for there.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the squad, Murdie, are you full squad, or anybody potentially missing out through injury? Or
no, listen, we got a full squad with a couple of boys with a couple of wee injuries, a couple of wee niggles. But again, the time that we've had, it's giving them an opportunity to kind of recover. But listen, Johnny, again, I would say I'm in a fortunate position. I'm no somebody who can sit back and say, you know, oh, I've got injuries and this and that. You know, I've got a really good squad of players. You know, and I listen to Alan there, he's wee underhanded dig there. You know, we didn't even get Saturday off. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them. And listen, the boys know that's what we do. Getting them in, getting them training, getting them working, getting them going. And you know, I've got such a strong squad of players, including Alan. That you know, they're really talented, really experienced. And listen, they know the game. They know what it's about. They know what they need to do. And they've prepared well. They've got themselves in a good place. You know, so I'm really pleased with the squad. Pleased with where we are. There'll be a couple of conversations over the next couple of days on a couple of people, but regardless of what team we put in the part on Sunday, we'll be strong.
Mm-hmm. Alan, as a kind of senior member of the squad, and there's obviously other boys that have got experience of big cup ties in that squad as well, but do you see a bit of responsibility on your shoulders to kind of lead by example with the particularly younger ones, less experienced ones, let them know what it's all about, show them the way?
No, I think, to be fair, I think the build up to this and seeing what it means to the community, the club, the fans, the committee, it's the expectations on them, so they know what to expect now. They know what this means to the club. So for us, and it's probably a club where there's a lot of experience in there. I think we've got a great mix. We've got a brilliant bunch of young boys who are just dead eager, and then you've got the older heads where even at training, you're 10v10, the older ones with the younger ones. But I think everybody's committed. Everybody knows what this means and what it can bring to the club if we manage to bring it home on Sunday. So,
and I've seen lots of stuff on social media, Murdie, it looks like the community is going to be turning out in big numbers and style on Sunday to support you.
Aye, definitely. I think roughly around about 2,500 tickets, which is huge, And you've seen the turnout in the semi-finals. I think there was 3,000 or something like that at our park. I don't know the exact figure on it, but it was a huge turnout, and then obviously the travelling support going down to Largs as well. So we were expecting big things, but they've turned out all season, Johnny, throughout the league. We've had good support, we've had good turnouts. And Johnston's a big town, you know what I mean? And as Alan said, what it means to the people down there, means to the committee. There's some supporters there that have experienced watching Johnstone Burgh in the lowest division, and no very many people there, and no much gone for the club. So quite rightly they're going to enjoy their day on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. I know it's the Johnstone Burgh. I think was it 1968. I think the last time they won the Scottish Cup, and I'm sure at Keene Park there'll be pictures and memories up all over the place of those guys. And I think it's, as you said, Alan, earlier, it's just a great opportunity to make yourself a legend at these clubs, because it is something that is remembered and spoken about forever if you can bring that cup home.
No, it's definitely, it's like a shots, like our names are on the wall at the stadium, and although if you're no fair junior background, you don't really know. It's these wee communities and the wee clubs experience it, like a Lafferty and whatever. He probably doesn't know, but actually seeing Johnston and seeing what that's bringing, he's probably thinking, geez, how have I missed this cup all my life? Obviously, he's bigger and better things to play with there, but for him to actually see what it means to a community, I think it's been brilliant. Like, as I said, I've got still group chats, 10-year anniversary, we're away on holiday, and it just gets that, exactly who played that game 13 years ago. I can name you the squad, and it never leaves you.
No, it'd be great. So what about Tranent and Murdie? You'll maybe have had the chance to watch them, but I'm sure you've had videos and things like that. Do you know what it reminds me of? The old-fashioned junior cup ties where you get an East v West. It's a classic like you'd Auchinleck v Bathgate back in the day. Games like that. So, what do you know about your opponents on Sunday?
I know they're obviously an experienced squad. That littered with really good players. A lot of those players have played at senior levels. A lot of their career as well, so they know the game. They're a good side. They've obviously finished high up in the Lowland League, and they pose a real threat. So. We've done our homework. I always do my homework regardless of who it is we're playing. We try to make sure we're well prepared. We try to, give people and teams the respect that they deserve, and also I try to give our players as much information as they can get, and trying to help them and benefit them as much as we can. Mm-hmm. So we feel prepared. We've done our homework, looking at their strengths and their weaknesses, and see if we can actually take advantage of some of those and go and win this game. But under no illusion, it's going to be a really, really tough game. And Tranent are a top side, a fantastic club as well. And we will not be taking anything for granted, that's for sure. We'll be well prepared.
What about yourself, Alan? Regards to Tranent, obviously finished fourth in the Lowland League. I don't know, did you come up against them when you were at East Kilbride in the Lowland League?
I came up against them. I was at Bowness for a few years, so I had a couple of great games against them. So I know exactly what they're all about. I was actually in the end of an absolute doing when I was at East Kilbride against them in the Scottish Cup, which didn't go down very well. But as far as I'm aware, speaking to boys still playing the league, they're a good side, a good big strong team that'll go and do things right. So we just need to be on our A game and kind of nullify any of their aspects. So no, I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Aye, absolutely. And in terms of Alan Murdie, I'm not wanting to make his head any bigger, but what about his role since coming to the club in turn of the year? I don't know how did you avoid getting cup tied? What phantom injury did you throw in?
I say fortunately, unfortunate at the time, but Cumnock actually got put out in the first round again, and I was away on holiday at the time. I had a wee niggle in my Achilles, so I managed to get a wee week away in the sun. So and then came back in the route. So I never played in the Junior Cup, so I was saying.
I know, because when Murdie messaged me to say you were coming on, I was like, he's not at the wind up and bringing on a player that's cup tied, surely. So I had to go back and check just to make sure you hadn't. You hadn't. But what's Alan brought? Since you brought him into the club, Murdie, you've obviously worked with him before, but what's he brought to the squad?
Listen, Alan brings a lot to the team. Obviously, firstly, Alan and I have worked at a couple of clubs previous to working at Johnstone Burgh, so we know each other really well. I've got a lot of trust in Alan, as a player. Smashing lad, terrific footballer. He brings a lot to the team in terms of the top end of the pitch, being able to take the ball in, retain the ball for us, let us come up the pitch. He's aggressive in his nature in terms of how he plays, and I like my teams to play like that. And again, that epitomised in the semi-final. Where Alan was straight away for the word goal. We start well, we start early, and he's at the traps and making sure he's winning headers, winning balls, and picking up seconds for us and doing things like that. So I've got a great deal of trust in Alan. He's a really experienced player. He brings that experience to the group as well, which is important. He knows how to win, and he's demonstrated that on a number of occasions. And importantly, Jonny as well. Alan's the right type. I know he's the right type. I haven't worked with him for a long time. Don't make me see any bigger, but he's the right type that you want about your club and want about your dressing room. So I'm really fortunate to have him. Really fortunate to have him at the club, and obviously the cup tie thing. Don't start spreading rumours there, because there's nothing like that. But obviously I worked with Alan at Cumnock. I brought him to Cumnock, and I find that we're very fortunate that that was the circumstance for Alan at that point, and then being able to bring him in, at that key point of the season was ideal. It was brilliant for us, just what we needed at the right time, and he's been a big player for us. Right.
No, I think it's you're absolutely right. I was actually thinking earlier about how I would describe Alan if I was coaching, because I've played against you, and you gave me an absolute torrid at Pollock one afternoon. And it was all the things that Murdie just mentioned: your energy, your running, your winning headers and stuff like that. And as you said, somebody that you can trust and you can rely on. From your point of view, Alan, how's it been joining Johnstone Burgh? Now, I've watched you a couple of times when you were at Cumnock this year. I thought you were stuck out in the left of a three, and I thought it wasn't the right place for you, if I'm being perfectly honest. Not telling people how to do their jobs, but I thought there was just, I think you're better obviously through the middle, in my opinion. But how's it been since joining Johnstone Burgh?
No, it's been great, as you said. Cumnock, brilliant club, but probably this season wasn't the right fit for me. And thankfully, I got an opportunity to come, probably at a point where Cumnock season was over. And at that point, Johnstone Burgh still had a lot to play with. We still had a wee outside glimpse of the league at that point, and obviously the Scottish. So for me, get the opportunity to come was brilliant. If I'm honest, I jumped at it. And I'm glad it happened at the time it did. And then, no, definitely, as I said, I've played through in the middle all my life. Looking at that, I've been always give my 100% anywhere I get put in the park, so I'm happy to play anywhere. But no, it's been great. And as you said, competition, there's probably 4 strikers at Johnstone Burgh that probably play in any other team in the league. Murdie's fortunate to have that selection. Probably a headache for him sometimes, but to have that competition only can spur you on to actually train better, do better in the park. So,
yeah, it's a good Murdie. It's a good headache to have. But as you said about Alan, and I'm sure that your other boys are the same, if they're the right type of boys, then you know that you can, if you have to leave them out or you decide to leave them out, you know they're going to react in the right way and come back and train harder and want to get back in the team rather than throwing the toys at the pram and sulking, and then you need to move on and make a decision.
I know, definitely. Listen, Alan will tell you that himself. He's not played every single game since he's came to the club. But what I can say is that when he's been called upon, when I've asked him to go in and play in a number of positions, I have to say, not just at centre forward, then he's come in and he's been brilliant, for us. And again, Jonny, that comes with a bit of maturity as well. Some of the boys are a bit young and they can take things a bit personally, and maybe not react the right way. And listen, you've been there yourself.
Well, it's amazing when you think back and you think the way you went on sometimes.
You're disappointed, and sometimes you think yourself, what was I doing at that point? But aye, and they'll gain that experience. But having players like Alan about, to talk to them and level their heads a wee bit, and listen, that's an advantage for me. But you need competition as well. You need competition for places. You need to have the ability to be able to change the team when things are perhaps not going too well, and people coming on and making impact into the game and stuff like that for the bench. That's important for us, and again, I'm really fortunate to have that.
Mm-hmm. So, what's the plan for the next few days, Murdie? How does the next few days look in terms of the build up to the game? Have you got another training session this week and then doing something on Saturday, or?
Aye, we're in training tomorrow. I see Big Alan there. He nearly passed out when you mentioned Saturday, Johnny.
Okay, we'd have us in if we could.
He's we're training tomorrow. Train tomorrow again. Just final preparations and get ourselves ready for Sunday. Just keep us in a routine. Try to keep it as normal as possible. Johnny, I'm not a believer in doing things that are astronomically different out with what we normally do, and I think that's important for the boys as well, that they get a certain element of normality about it also. So we'll train tomorrow, we'll train well. I'm sure final preparations, get ourselves ready, and we'll head into the weekend getting ready for Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Alan, you must have thought when you were joining Johnstone Burgh, you'd maybe get a wee summer training camp out it in Dubai or something like that, all the money they've got,
Aye, we'll never know. Do you know what I mean? There's rumours flying about when we win this cup, so we'll see. Murdie's getting pockets as well, so.
Are you hoteling it on Saturday night, or are you just travelling to the game on Sunday?
No, we're just travelling to the game. It's just keep
it's just about me. I think somebody asked me before, how do you prepare for such a big game or a final? And I don't know if you agree, Alan, but you just get to try and play the game and not think about the occasion. It's end of the day, it's a game of football, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I think try to keep it as normal as possible. Keep the routine. A Sunday is a wee bit different for boys, but you've got that extra day rest. But no, as Murdie said, just keep it as normal as possible. In training tomorrow night, have a good session, then rest up, and Sunday, I think the bus is leaving for the town centre, so I'm sure the support will be out cheering us all on as we leave.
Good. Right, well, listen, lads, my opinion, and I'm not going to ask you for a prediction, don't worry, but in my opinion, if anybody cares, anybody that's watching cares, I think your quality is going to make a big difference on the big Astro Park at Clyde, and I think you win the game 2-1 and win the Scottish Junior Cup for Johnstone Burgh. But on behalf of everybody here and myself, thanks very much to both of you for giving up your time this Wednesday evening and coming on and giving us your thoughts before the big game on Sunday, and all the very best on Sunday, and I really mean it. I hope you do it.
Thanks, Johnny. Really appreciate it.
Brilliant. And remember, if you're watching on YouTube, if you can like the video, subscribe to the Pyramid Promotions channel, where you'll get all the different content that we're putting out as well. And if you want to support us by becoming a member, you can do that as well. Just before we go, just quick shout out to our sponsors, Roxburgh Insurance Brokers and VSN Sport. If you're looking for any bespoke teamwear, get in touch with Gary there, and I will see you when I see you. Try and get yourself out. If you can, get along to Broadwood on Sunday and watch the Junior Cup final. I'm sure it'll be a cracker. I'll be in Spain, but I'll try and find a pub in Benalmádena that I can get BBC Alba on to watch the Junior Cup final. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.